Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Sporting160EN podcast. We're Transfer Roundup, episode number 3. The week's news commencing from the 27th of June 2022. And before I get started, I just want to say we're 300 subscribers away from 1,000. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube. It just allows us to do more content and it allows us to get more support. But as you can see, I'm joined by a very special guest, Mr. Danny Saldana. How are you today, man?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. It's been a minute. I miss doing these, even though this is like not the pod, but it's still a pod, miss talking to you, my guy. But yeah, man, it'll be good.
Yeah, feel free to follow Danny there, and you can also follow me there as well. Without further ado, let's get into the top stories for today. So we've got four big ones, I would say. We'll start off with what the thumbnail will be, and that is Joao Palhinha being announced as a Fulham player on Friday. This Friday it should be. That was record. There has since been stories come out saying that George Mendes wants 2 million off Sporting.
Joke, by the way.
Yeah, for saying apparently he had an agreement in place with Sporting saying that he can only deal with like the transfer. No other agent can, even though Palhinha has a completely different agent. It's the Spanish guy who also used to deal with Acuna, Vieto, and also Sergio Aguero. But yeah, but record have reported, and they're a pretty safe tier of believability, I think. So we can pretty much say he's good as gone. But Danny, we haven't really heard your thoughts on it. What are your thoughts on the deal? 18 million euros plus objectives. What are your thoughts on the club he's moving to, and just the overall sort of deal?
Yeah. Wore this shirt on purpose because I have Palhinha in the back. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Nice.
Bam. You already know. So I mean, I'm not mad against him moving. It was deserved. He had a quality season at Sporting the season when we won the league last year, plagued a bit by injury, and Ugarte coming through. That midfield now, that defensive midfielder spot, I feel solid in with Ugarte. But 18 million, I find a ridiculous price. I mean, you mentioned this like 2 transfer roundups ago. We almost sold him 2-3 years ago for 15, and he was coming off Braga. Now he's a Portuguese international, and we're only adding 3 million plus 2 as the add-on. I find that hard to believe, and then plus, how much of that is going to commission with George Mins already asking for 2 already. I'm shocked Wolves can't get anything, more. I can't pay more than that. Even Fulham, they just got that Premier League money. You're telling me that's all you can afford, and we're willing to accept that. I find that a bit of a joke. Fulham as a squad, I mean, he's gonna fit right in because Fulham need a midfielder of his caliber or of his profile if they want to stay in the league. Because I don't see them doing so. But I mean, England is the destination that everybody wants to go to. It doesn't matter what team. But I'm a little shocked at where he's going because I thought Wolves was set for him and it would have been, I think, the perfect fit. And I'm shocked at the price that we're selling him for. I find it way too small.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. The one thing I will say, I prefer him to go to Fulham over Wolves. I know Wolves are arguably the better team, but I'm just not a fan of Wolves setup and the players they have there. I want to be able to support Palhinha. If he went to Wolves, I just couldn't do it. Like, no disrespect to him.
Is Fulham near?
Say that again, sorry, man.
Did you hear me? Sorry. Is Fulham nearby? Is Fulham nearby for you?
Yes, it's in London, so it's about 45 minutes. I have just a off-topic story, but so my nan lives next to quite a famous hotel. I'm not going to say the name of it because then you'll know where she lives, but it's where all the footballers go to stay when they're in London or playing like in Wembley and stuff. So in 2000, I want to say 2010, the whole Fulham squad were on like the bus as me, my dad, and my brother were walking past. Like they just got off, and like this back in the day, we had like Clint Dempsey, and I think it was the same year they beat Juventus in the Europa League. I think semi-final. But all I remember, this is a massive segue, by the way. But like I just remember my dad speaking to Roy Hodgson, who was a manager at the time, and my dad was just like a Sunday League manager, and they were just like discussing tactics, which is quite cool. But yeah, just a bit of a random story. But I mean, I don't mind Fulham, and I think
Yeah.
they're like one of the teams that always go down. But like I'm also a massive wrestling guy, and the guy who owns Fulham, Tony Khan, is also owner of another wrestling company, which I enjoy. So I mean, it's sort of a conflict of interest for me as well. But you know, I don't mind Fulham. I think as a player as well, you're more likely to stick out at Fulham than you are at Wolves, especially for like a holding midfielder that Palhinha is as well.
Especially and at Wolves, he'd be just another Portuguese guy there. I actually have a random story about Fulham, real quick as well.
Go on.
So listen, it's quite weird. I mean, maybe from where you're from, Fulham fans, you know, they're not that hard to find. In Canada, in Toronto, it's really hard to find. And when I was working at my old job as a financial advisor, I had this one guy who would always come in. I think his name is David. I can't remember. I'm not going to say his last name. I remember his last name. He was missing this finger here, and this guy one time came in with a Fulham scarf, and that prompted us to like chat for like, I wasted a solid hour on this guy, just chilling in my office. Didn't care because I was getting paid for it anyways. Just chatting about Fulham, how he's been to Craven Cottage. I was telling him how I was rooting for Nottingham Forest because there's a Canadian now playing there in Nottingham. They both went up, which is great. But yeah, I also have which was just, and long story short, it was just so weird because like, it's so hard to find like a non like United, Chelsea, fucking Real, Barca fan, and to find like a random Fulham guy here was sick. So shout out to David.
Yeah, shout out to David. And also as well, I think the Marco Silva effect definitely has that on Palhinha as well. I know that they didn't actually sort of cross paths when they were at Sporting together, but you know, I mean, I know he didn't end too well with Marco Silva, but I always thought he was a somewhat decent coach, and obviously done well with Fulham as well. So to get them promoted, and I believe they won the title as well in the Championship. So you know, hopefully the board back in, which they seem like they have. But yeah, also another player I really like, just for no other reason, like with relevance, is just Alexander Mitrovic. I don't know, it's just like the standard, like typical, like shithouse striker. Like I also like Alfredo Morelos, even though he's a Rangers player, and I'm more of a Celtic guy. But I really love them, like shithouse players. Diego Costa as well back in the day. I don't know, I just have those like good links to those players. But yeah, anyway, I think we'll move on from the Fulham talk. I feel like we spent enough time on just Fulham in general. Move on to some other outgoings. I'll start with the sort of more popular one. I'll say popular, the more like newsworthy one, and that is Ruben Vinagre getting loaned out. So Record and Abola have confirmed it, but Abola have added saying that he's definitely not staying in Portugal, so he's going to go abroad. And obviously the jokes with the Mendes carousel, you know, Olympiacos, Nottingham Forest. I mean, it probably is going to happen. But what are your thoughts? Do you think he should have been loaned out? And if so, where would you like him to go? Or do you think he should have stayed with the team?
Nah, it's a bit of a joke. I think it was Christian that said it yesterday perfectly on the Twitter page. It might have been you, Sam, but it was kind of late, so I feel like
it was Chris. Yeah,
it was Chris. He set a spot on day one, and that $10 million euro signing is already out the door. Like, he didn't even make preseason with us. It's ridiculous. Like, how do you spend this much money and a few months later he doesn't even make a day in our preseason? A horrible buy. Another one of these lengthy, like Christian mentioned, of these expensive deals being loaned out again. For all the praise Hugo Viana gets, and I don't know if this is Hugo Viana dealings, if this is Varandas in bed with Minge. I don't know how much of either of those two, who's to blame, or if it's both to blame. This is another one of those horrible deals, and this one is 10 million. Like, this isn't Rafael Camacho numbers where we get him for free, but the salary is high. This is the salary is high and the transfer was high, and it doesn't seem likely that we're going to get any value for him unless if he does go to Nottingham and somehow performs like crazy. But I mean, his confidence got shattered off a Champions League game. If Nottingham plays Chelsea and they lose 5-0, or a Liverpool and they lose 5-0, how's his confidence going to be then?
Apparently, Anthony, the guy who terrorized him, is going to Man United as well.
Exactly. So he can't escape him. It's ridiculous. I'm not saying that you ride this out now. At least give him a season to perform at Sporting. I find this move absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to agree. I feel quite bad for him because obviously there was the Ajax game, which was bad. But I think before that, he got man of the match in maybe
Mhm.
1 or 2 games. He was very solid, and I think this is. I'm gonna like say something quite controversial. I think a lot of people disagree with me, but I think especially in Portugal, the stuff with like mental health in terms of a footballer and like what he must have gone through and what he's probably gone through for the rest of the season. I don't think many people understand that. They're just like, oh, he had one bad performance and his confidence knocks. Let's get rid of him. But like, I assume, like, I'm not Ruben Vinagre. I'm not his agent. I'm not a family member. But you've got to assume that he has had that mental block. And like
Yeah.
people saying, like, yeah, he's a professional footballer. He should be able to be done with it. But like, they are human at the end of the day, I suppose. And you know, again, he was solid when he first came in, and then the Ajax game sort of. I mean, it's hard not to pin all the blame on that particular game for him because I think 4 out of the 5 goals came from his side. But you know, collective team effort, I suppose. And like it reminds me, do you remember Karius in the final against Real Madrid for
Yeah.
Liverpool?
Yeah.
Like obviously it was his fault, but I felt bad when I don't think a single Liverpool player like went up to say like unlucky or like sorry.
No.
I mean, it's just stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's a disgraceful move, but it's also a good move for him, depending on where he goes. Because like if he goes, he's already been alone at Olympiacos, but if he goes to somewhere like there, or if he goes, I don't know, to maybe second division in Spain or like an Italian team, like somewhere where the eyes are sort of off him, that he can sort of redevelop and come back stronger. I'm not saying I personally don't think he'll ever play for Sporting again, but you know, in terms of upping your value and like getting like other clubs to sign you on, sort of like a Plata thing where he went to Valladolid and then he balled out and now he's being linked to like Leeds and Bayern Leverkusen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a tough thing because let's be honest, he's not getting minutes over Matheus Reis and even Nuno Santos. Um, I saw a tweet today. I think it was Juicebox Liao who replied to one of our tweets saying that this is like Amorim bad man management and saying like he has his favorites and stuff. But personally, I don't think in this case. I know you can make a case for like Slimani was definitely sort of like I don't know if it's an ego thing, but definitely sort of a man management thing. And I think he included Plata as well, which I mean was proven right because you know drink driving and everything, and
Yeah.
you know. But like, I don't think this is a new Ruben Amorim thing. I just think there's no space for him in the squad, as bad as it sounds for a 10 million player. But no one expected Matheus Reis to be that good last season. Like he was fully expected to be the backup, and it was Vinagre who was the starter because he had a good season before at Famalicão as well, which is why we bought him. But yeah, I feel bad for him. But again, there's no space for him, so it's better getting playing time, I suppose, than just sitting on the bench, rotting, waiting for cup games or like rest games and stuff like that.
And lastly, on that point of Amorim playing favorites, you would think Vinagre is his favorite the way he was treated last year. Like he never
Yeah.
put the blame on him. He still got a chance afterwards. There's still a big support for Vinagre, anyways. I mean, anytime I'm on Twitter, even when we're doing the podcast, everybody's constantly flooding our comments saying like there's a player there, which I agree, there is a player there. So yeah, it's probably a good move for him for sure. But I think if he sticks it out and actually gets that starting role back at Sporting, it's an even better move. But just as a club in general, us buying him and now this happening, it's a mess. It's shambles. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead, Sam.
No, I was done with my point. So yeah, it just works out well. I just again, like I hope he sort of gets over the mental block and tears it up. And I've never wanted to see a player do bad for Sporting. Like I know I've had my things about Thiago Tomas, but I said like if he proves me wrong, like fair enough, and like other players as well, Esgaio as well. I'm not so I won't ever hate a Sporting player who currently plays for the team because I want my club to do well at the end of the day. And I'm sure most Sporting fans would agree with that. So hopefully he does get past that block, I suppose. But speaking of loan deals, one that is almost confirmed. It's been confirmed by 3 different sources: Record, Abola, and Pedro Spalduva, who is, I believe, sick journalist. So Gonzalo Esteves has been loaned out to Estoril. He had competition to be loaned to Casapia. And Abola also mentioned last week that he was on course to stay with the squad, that he wasn't being loaned out. So Danny, what are your thoughts? Again, a sort of third choice right back over Porro and Esgaio. But people not Esgaio's biggest fans. I would probably say he's the most it's going to be harsh, but the most hated Sporting player currently in the team. But what are your thoughts? Is it a good move, or do you think we should have kept him?
It'll all depend on hindsight. Obviously, it's a good move for the kid. I think the kid needs more minutes because he's too good for the B team or for the under-19s. He's not starter yet, and I'm not necessarily an Ishgayu hater. I don't. I do see that he gets a lot of hate. I get some of it. Most of it, I think it's exaggerated. I think Ishgayu is a good player and is a good backup. And as of right now, in my personal opinion, is a better backup than Ishtivsh. Now, the only issue in this, and the only reason I say it's in hindsight, is it depends on both of their healths because Poru is not always injured, but Poru has his injury.
He was last season.
Last season he was really injured. Ishgayu has his moments too. Ishgayu had a decent health last season, maybe because he didn't play that much. But even Ishgayu gets injured a lot. So, it'd be good to have Stivs there when the opportunity arises. But, of course, it depends. If the opportunities don't arise and he's just rotting away on the bench or rotting away on the B team, that doesn't do him any good either. He is young, so, one more year on the bench wouldn't hurt him per se. But Estoril is a good team. They showed that last year. They finished, 6th? So they'll be seventh,
I think,
7th or 8th. So they'll be fighting. They'll be fighting, one, to stay up regardless, and 2, they'll be fighting for maybe even European spots. So it'll be a good exposure to him. Hopefully he just gets minutes and it's not like Eduardo Quaresma. But I personally think it's a good move. It's only going to do well for the kid, and when he comes back a better player, we're not going to cry about it again unless there's bare injuries this season.
Yeah, fact. I agree. I would say that obviously it's a very good move for him. I think Estoril was a better setup for him than Casapia. I've personally not seen Casapia play last season, but I've heard from people that they actually do play quite good football and attacking football in that aspect as well. So, and he's definitely more of an attacking fullback as well. He's that's one of his, I guess, downfalls is defending, but he gets forward quite well. So I think personally Estoril is better just because Casapia coming up a division, you never know what's going to happen. Like they could always go back down. There could be a Vizela type team where they surprise everyone, actually give difficult games. But I think it's definitely a lower risk giving him to Estoril than it is Casapia. And I agree with you, man. Like I think it's just a good move for all parties. I see a lot of Porto fans got on our tweet and saying, "Oh, but he moved for game time." It's like, well, he did move for game time, but that's because Porto. Yeah, he did. And Porto, before last season, Porto did not play youngsters. Vitinho started the season on the bench, and so did Fabio Vieira. And last year, Evan Nilsson was in the B team.
Exactly.
Like, he played minutes for their B team. So, yeah.
His brother barely, he got loaned out, but his brother barely got minutes. You were expecting him to the younger brother to get more minutes? Like, come on, let's be real.
Yeah, unless your name is Conceição, then like obviously Vitinho and Fabio Vieira are different stories because they were just very good players. But if you're somewhat average, I will not even say average. If you have a high ceiling and you're a decent enough player, I think Sporting and even so Benfica have in the last few years been sort of playing their youngsters. Maybe not last year with Benfica and George Jesus, but Estevez saw the opportunity, and I think Diogo Abreu as well coming over to is the same thing. But yeah, I think good move for all parties. The last top story is actually one that I think is good news. I think everyone will agree it's good news, but I think it's also good for the player as well, which is Rodrigo Battaglia rescinding his contract for the second time. Don't forget he rescinded it in Alcochete as well.
Yeah.
He's joining Mallorca, and he gave up half his salary to join Mallorca. And I'm also going to segue this as well with another piece of news that Renan is staying out the remainder of his contract, which is 1 year left. He's currently earned over 3 million from not playing. So definitely different mentalities there. But I'll start off with Battaglia. Daniel, what are your thoughts? I just want to ask you as well. Would you ever see him? Obviously now he's moved, but before, would you say, yeah, I'd like to see him reintegrated into the squad, or do you think too many bridges are burnt now?
Too many bridges are burnt. I just also don't think he's been good enough ever since he had that ACL tear. Even when he came back from the first rescinding, like he was already on the downturn, and then he got injured. And he has never been the same. It's even, I mean, Mallorca might even be second division, or now
I think
they
they're still third. Oh, did they get relegated?
Are they? I don't know.
I think they stayed up. I'll double check it.
But I mean, good riddance in my opinion. Like, it's about time. He had a heavy. What am I looking for? He had a heavy. Oh, they did stay up. They stayed in 16th. Not bad.
Cool.
He had a heavy salary already on our books. So, and the fact that he gave up half. All right, respect. But get the fuck out.
I agree with you with the injury part, but I think a lot of it. I never thought he was a great technical player. I thought he reminds me a lot, and this is no disrespect, like of a Joao Palhinha, where it's like he's not great on the ball, but he will, especially under George Jesus, he was solid. And I think I think a lot of that
he shut down Messi.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of that was to do was William Carvalho as well, a great defensive partner. And then he went from William Carvalho. I think the season after was Godelj and Dumbia. So I think it's difficult for him in that scenario. But, 3 loan moves later, our top 3 earners, top highest paid players, Battaglia, Camacho, and Renan, which is crazy to think about considering none of them have played in the last 3 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I agree with you with Battaglia. The next question is Renan. Like, I'll start this one off if you don't mind. But like, if I was Renan, right, he's getting paid 3 million to do nothing. I believe he was dropped unfairly as well. So that's probably another reason why he's like, screw you guys. Like, I'm staying out the remainder of his contract. No one else is going to pay him close to what he's earning now. And like I said, he's not doing anything. Low risk of injury. I'm sure as soon as his contract rescinds, he's going to have some offers from. Like, he was linked to Rio Ave as a loan move. In Brazil. But like, obviously I don't like him for what he's doing, but I also can see, like, I wouldn't want to rescind, but I know how much I love Sporting, but you have to remember he's a professional. This is his job, and he gets paid. No one forced Sporting to give him the money. Like, they just handed it to him on a platter. And like, he was the only reason I say dropped unfairly, he was our hero in 2 of the sort of not championships, cups we won. Two penalty shootouts, I believe, and he was great in both. And we were bringing him on. I think the game he got dropped was when he was bringing on for Maximiano against Istanbul. Was it? No, against Porto, sorry. Because we thought we were going to go to another penalty shootout. And then they scored in the last minute. And he never saw the bench, never played since. And that's why I feel like, I'm not saying he was a great goalkeeper by any means. He definitely had his flaws. But I felt like he was treated a little bit unfairly. So I don't have that much hatred towards him. But, so it's Renan was 3 million already. It's the same with Battaglia and Camacho. That's 9 million on the books. That's a whole new player, and potentially 2 depending on where you get them from. So hopefully those lot go soon. But what are your thoughts on the Renan's situation, especially?
I mean, you're right. He did. He's pissed off because he was taken off unfairly, but he did get the starting spot unfairly, in my opinion, too. Let's not forget he only got the starting spot because they took out Viviano because he was a Bruno signing. That's 2 guys that Sousa Sintra signed. That a whole election has passed and we're still talking about them, and not for the right reasons. Whereas there's certain things of the last president that if we're still talking about them, like maybe Palhinha or Coach, it's for better reasons. So that's all. I don't really have much to say about that. I mean, if Kyrie Irving watched the Portuguese league, he'd be so proud of Renan right now. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get onto the exact number of players who are still on the payrolls in a bit, and that segues. I think you could do this part. We've got the record news. Feel free if you can't read my writing to tag me.
No, we're good.
Yeah,
we're good. I just want to quickly talk on this first point, and I'll give it to you if you want to as well. Adrien Silva with his yearly, or seems like every 6 months, announcement that he would love to return to Sporting. I will only take Adrien Silva back, one, if he proves that he can be back to his old ways, because ever since he's left, or maybe a year after he's left, unless like that. Once his appearances for Leicester started slowing down, he didn't show any footballing ability for me to want him back. One, but two is if he actually does apologize, because he'll always say like, "Oh, this is the club of my heart," but he'll never apologize for forcing his way out, especially as a captain. A few days before the transfer window ending, as he's with the Seleção, letting a record or whatever it was interview go, saying that if he leaves, he better, Sporting fans better not hold it against him because he gave the club everything. But now, you're dying to come back to the club. When there was paper on hand for you to sign a lifetime contract, that wasn't good enough. But now you want to come back. Now that your career's shit. I want an apology first and foremost. That's my take on the Adrian Silva thing. One is show me the ability because you don't have it anymore. But two, show me an apology. Give me an apology. You're a Sporting captain and you disrespected the club as you were here, and then throw out a pissy fit for at least another year as you didn't get your move the first time. So that's my opinion. I don't know if you have anything to that sound.
I was going to say, if we were still in like the 1819 or 1920 season where we had awful midfielders, I would take Adrian back in a heartbeat, even at his current form now. But there's no need for him anymore. I don't think he even starts for Braga, to be honest, or a team like that. I think their midfielders are better than him. But it's sort of this when Adrian Silva starts talking about coming back to Sporting, it's summertime. So, I mean, it's good, but like you said, I wouldn't even take him back. Like, even if he came back apologizing, we just don't need him at the end of the day. If you're asking me, maybe like if it was like Williams come back, I'd say, yeah, Williams a good player. Yeah. I would take it back if he apologized. But like Adrian Silva's, where is he now? Saudi, Qatar. Like, no disrespect to those leagues, but you've got no career ambition if you're there, or you're just not a very good footballer, or maybe a mixture of both. So yes, fuck him.
Yeah,
to be honest,
fuck him indeed. There's about always interject if you want. I'm just trying to see it here if there's like a list of the 11 players. But anyways, there's about 11 players that are out of the plans for Ruben Amorim. One of which is Slimani, linked to Fenerbahce and to Al Hilal. Camacho being linked to Burnley and the Greek team Aris. Plata being linked to Valladolid, Bayer Leverkusen, and Leeds. If I'm not mistaken, Valladolid have like an option to buy, or a first option to buy on him
of 10 million, but 10 million. They can't afford it, so they've been trying to talk Sporting to sort of bring it down. But obviously, with all this interest in him, Sporting alike, nah.
So now if we like with the Marcus Edwards deal, there is now I think there's an option for Guimarães. I haven't seen any news on this yet, but there is from what I've read or from what I remember, Guimarães does have an option now to buy Plata, so that makes it a bit interesting. But Guimarães is also broke, so.
I think they've got first refusal on any deal. So, like, for example, if Bayer Leverkusen come in with like 9 million, we accept it, then it goes to Guimarães, which obviously they would never accept. But
and Filipe Luís being touted to either Greece and Turkey, and then of course Thiago Ilori, surprise, he's expected to be loaned out again. Upsetting that we can't sell him, but maybe New York Red Bulls will call him out. Oh, sorry, these are the 11 players. So so Doumbia also not in the 11.
I'm gonna be honest. I thought he was already sold. I completely forgot he was still on the books.
You know what? I would not mind giving Doumbia a shot. Give him preseason.
He's still young, yeah.
He's young. We need a Palhinha replacement. We'll get into it in a second, but who knows what the fuck's going on with Morita? And like I've been mentioning, Morita to me isn't a direct replacement for Palhinha. But anyways, Doumbia would be that guy. Give him a shot. I think. Eduardo Henrique going to Al Raid. I think that's Saudi Arabia. András Porar, I think, as another one. Give him a preseason. It'd be nice to offload his wages and his transfer fee for sure. But give him a shot. Jovan going to either Lazio or Besiktas. Right now, it seems like Lazio's leading the race. And then
actually, just to interrupt, it's Besiktas apparently. We'll get onto it in a minute. Yeah, but Besiktas the odds-on favorite now.
I'm shocked. Jorge Jesus isn't going after him, to be honest.
Apparently, that was a rumor. That was a rumor. Nice. But yeah, I think that was just to get people distracted, maybe from them signing Bruma.
Maybe. Pedro Mendes going to Rio Ave. Pedro Marques also going to NEC on Holland. Anyways, Barcelona are interested in Matheus Nunes. Sporting are looking for at least, since we're on the Jovan talk, for at least 5 million for Jovan. Let's see. Coates will stay at Sporting and sign a new contract, which is nice. There were murmurs that Sporting was interested in Lens winger Banza. I believe he's British or British-French.
French, yeah.
He's French. I thought he was British. Anyways, he's not. Sporting coming out saying he's not a target. Like I was mentioning, Morita, we've seen him, a whole coverage of him coming in from Japan to Lisbon, looking fresh to death, might I say. We might have a fresher squad if he joins. But I don't know, that talks haven't completely, spilled over, but that's kind of gotten stagnant. I think there was also rumors of him going elsewhere. We mentioned Renan not leaving. Trincao was at first saying, we're not going to, those talks were kind of being frozen over as Dembele might leave. Now it seems like Dembele's staying. Seems like Sporting, they're now fighting for a 2-year loan, seeing as we're not reaching the Barcelona's release clause. I don't know about you, Sam. I think this is still going to happen. I know it's been a lot of talk over the last few weeks. I think Trincao is going to be a Sporting player. I think we're just getting the nitty gritty in terms of whether it's a transfer or a loan and how much the transfer fee would be.
Yeah, I think it must have been Nuno Gabriel, maybe Castapaiva, saying that it's literally this transfer is going to be confirmed on the 31st of August, which I can definitely see happening because it's just taking so long. And I know they wanted clauses and stuff, but if you want to play that badly, you get the deal done especially before preseason, so you give him that introduction and stuff. And I think that's what Amorim is pushing for at the moment as well. It's just trying to get him for preseason, which has already started, but obviously there's some preseason games coming in July, which hopefully if we get him for then, so he can have an actual decent runabout, I think that will be good. But I don't think it's being confirmed till August personally.
Yeah, I agree. The last one, or the last two, Samuel Lino is interested in Sporting. We're just trying to figure out his sort of what's going on with him in Atleti. He just got there, to be fair. So I think that's another signing that might happen. It's just all about timing, I think, with that one. And the last one, remind me, Sam, Sporting don't want
Ricardo Horta.
Ricardo Horta, exactly.
There was a rumor. I personally didn't see it, but Record was saying there was a rumor going around social media that we were interested and wanted to buy him. It did say Ruben Amorim and Hugo Viana are massive fans of him, but Braga are asking for 50 million upwards, which we just can't afford at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead and take a ball away, dude.
Yeah, let's go. Again, feel free to interject. I'll actually ask you about this one. So there was a rumor going around, which was on the last transfer roundup, that Al-Musrati was favoured by Ruben Amorim to join. I think that was Ojogo who reported it first. But Abola saying Ruben Amorim isn't interested at all in Al-Musrati. What do you think about Al-Musrati? Do you think he's a good player? And do you think he would fit? I know it's another Braga deal, but what would be your thoughts?
Listen, I don't mind another Braga deal. I don't mind where it just sucks because Braga is asking for far too much. I think that's why we're not interested. It's just because it's far too much. But I think Al-Musrati is like the perfect replacement. If not, he might even be just a tad bit better, like in terms of his play and playing with the ball or technical abilities, I should say. But I would not mind this move. I don't care necessarily that it's another deal with Braga. I mean, if a good player comes, a good player comes. I mean, we had the dealings with Braga and we won the league. But it's just far too expensive, I think. That 10 million that went to Vinagre, though, would have been nice on Al-Musrati right now. Facts, or even Horta. Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of Horta, but even him, it would have been nice on him.
Yeah, facts. I agree. Next couple, Coates and Ugarte were on the Atletico Madrid shortlist. Basically, Record saying Coates will stay was because of this rumor. They're saying that apparently Atletico Madrid were going to offer 8 million. Record pretty much just said it's just a lie. Like that's not happening. And Coates has been in talks with an extension, I think, since early January. Yeah. And they were saying that he was going to sign until 2025 and half his salary and stuff. So
I think this is lazy journalism. Everybody knows Atleti love a Uruguayan, and they decide to throw in 2 Uruguayans there. Nothing else.
I think the Gotti one might be true because I can't remember if it was Record or Ebola. They reported in just before the City game that Atletico Madrid were scouting Ugarte and had gone to watch games for him specifically. So I think that one, especially because he's only 21 as well.
22, yeah.
Yeah, so that one I could definitely see happening as well. Like you said, they love a Uruguayan or a South American. Pretty much fits the bill. He's a great player as well. Coates, I don't think they would go for just because of his age and his injury issues, especially the last year. But yeah, I'm glad to see Coates staying at least for another year, and hopefully he gets that contract done soon. Next one is Matheus Nunes could be tempted by money to join Wolves again. I sort of agree with what you just said, lazy journalism, because like everyone's going to be tempted with money to join Wolves. But yeah, I don't know what. To be honest, that Wolves deal was sort of called off a bit. Fabrizio Romano has said a few times that he's literally repeated the same things, just saying there is no deal, there's no personal terms agreed. So that one looks like to be on the back burner, I suppose.
Even the City one. Sorry.
Yeah.
Even the City
one.
No. I thought he was already as good as gone, but he wasn't. So thank God, because we need him.
Yeah. And then I think. Yeah, so they're saying that the deal would be 45 million plus 10 in objectives, which I think they said Sporting would accept, but I don't think Matheus Nunes is interested in Wolves. To be fair, if you had the choice between Wolves and Man City, no disrespect, obviously, it's an easy choice. And since reporting the first report, I think about a month ago now, that we tweeted out that I think it was CMTV put out a story saying that Palhinha and Matheus Nunes are both going to Wolves. Yeah. We got so many Wolves fans following us on Twitter now. So if you're watching,
shout out to them.
Shout out to
you. And for the Wolves fan, when you're saying it's an easy choice, you're saying it's easy choice because it's going to Wolves, right? They have a European Cup and Manchester City don't.
Of course, man, and the orange kits as well, just way too nice as well. You know what I mean. But
and George Mins in the back pocket, baby.
Yeah, to play with João Matilho and Prudence as well. My 2 favorite players of all time. Easy choice, yeah. But I really don't know with this one. It's just it just seems like maybe it's frozen. I think they're waiting till Ruben Neves, which I'm going to be honest, I don't see him moving anytime soon. Man United are going for Frankie de Jong. I don't think Arsenal or like Tottenham are going to go after him or can afford him, unless it's like a Real Madrid, Barcelona. But even them two are strapped for cash at the moment, I believe.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that one's ever going to come. Again, I think if it does, it's going to be what Nuno Mendes was last year. Because I'm not sure if you remember, he was linked to absolutely every club in Europe, Chelsea, City, PSG, and like everywhere. And he finally went on deadline day. So I can imagine this being the same scenario. But yeah, Slimani can join teammate Brahimi in, I'm going to butcher this name, but Al Ghafara in Qatar. Brahimi went there. Apparently, he's trying to convince Slimani to join him. Slimani wants to keep fit for his Algerian national team appearances, and his Algerian national team coach said he was worried about Slimani just like a game time. But I'm sure, again, he's one that I think Slimani is going to be gone by the end of the transfer window as well. I don't think he's going to be like a Camacho or Luis Felipe. I think he's definitely just going to go, not out of respect for us, but just for respect out of his own career, I suppose. Whereas like Luis Felipe and Sporar, well, I think it's unfair to include Sporar, but like those guys don't have any like national team to like go for. Like Luis Felipe is not making the Brazil squad or the Portugal squad, and like Camacho, they're saying they don't really care as long as they're getting paid. But I think Slimani's got probably more drive, like in his career. I don't know what you think. Do you think he's going to go to somewhere like a Middle Eastern team, or do you reckon maybe Premier League or somewhere else?
I think he's Slimani, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's staying. He's going Middle East, or I'm surprised MLS isn't coming knocking. That's what I'm shocked.
Is the MLS transfer window open at the moment?
It is. Toronto just got Insigne. Bale just went to LAFC.
Oh, okay, but I thought they couldn't play until
July 1st. But you can no. I think it's only July 1st if I'm not mistaken. So or July 7th or something. I think they're playing soon, or else he wouldn't have come so soon. I'm surprised they're not giving him a shout.
Yeah, Fair enough. Morita apparently is going to be announced in July. Record have also been saying that the deal has been signed since early June. I believe there was that story about him going to Galatasaray, which again I don't believe at all. I think it's just Sporting always do this when they sign a player. They just don't announce it for months. Like we remember January 31st where we had to announce Slimani and Edwards on the same day, even though Edwards was confirmed like a week before.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was dumb. And lastly, for Ebola, Besiktas will offer 4 million for Javan. Sporting want 5. But personally, I'd accept 4. Like, what's the difference between 1 million? What do you think? Would you accept it?
I would. I agree.
Yeah. Cool. I'll just cover the last bit of Ashoka news as well, because there's literally about 5 stories. You mentioned it earlier that Sporting apparently asked Lens for Banza. Literally within the hour, the report came out on record saying that this isn't true, which I don't know about you. I love reading those. It's like you see something on the bottom, like, okay, and then like an hour later, record's like, no, it's just not true. But yeah, Independent de Valle, which is the club we bought Plata from, rejected selling more of Plata's past, which they currently own 50%. Sport wanted to buy more, but they see more lucrative money, especially if it goes for 10 million, they get 5 million. 5 million for a club like Independent de Valle will like have them settled over for the next like 2 or 3 years, which, you know, why would they try and sell? And this is the issue with like buying players passes. Yeah. But you know, fair enough. Torino wanted Nuno Santos, but apparently there's going to be no deals done there. Torino can't afford what Sporting want. I don't think Sporting even wants to sell. He's considered one of those players that I guess no player in Sporting is untouchable, but I guess that's one who they actively would like to keep. Sporting want Lucas Robertson, and apparently it will cost between 12 and 18 million. I know we were linked to him, was it 2018, 2019 when Bruno Fernandes left?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've watched much of him at all, but I'm not too familiar with him.
Just some highlight clips, but you can't trust YouTube. I think YouTube will make me look like a professional footballer. So, but he looks like he has some of Bruno's like characteristics, where he had that like long shot. Aside from, he looks like a threat at goal, but aside from that, like, I'm not too familiar with the kid. I think at Almeria he didn't have the greatest seasons this year. Let me look up his stats real quick.
Yeah, personally, I think this is a story that is like trying to get like other teams to buy him, because I think it said like Lazio, Spezia, and River Plate were also linked to him. I think this is something like to try and get them to. So I don't think we're spending between 12 and 18 million on Robertson, even if he is a good player.
Yeah, especially from the second division in Spain. Okay, 26 games, 4 goals, 4 assists last season. But at the same time, for Almeria, I mean, one, it helps that you have, like I was saying, the judgments puppeteering. But Almeria did well with selling Darwin to Benfica. They're probably looking to do the same thing in this case too, if it is happening. I have a feeling that if it does, which I don't think it will, but if it does, we're involving Ruben Vinagre maybe the other way. That might help us in terms of lowering transfer fees. But I don't see it happening. I don't even think we have the need for him, to be honest.
Yeah, unless Matheus Nunes goes soon, then we can try and get him in. But again, I've said this before. I think Braganza is sort of ready to at least be given a shot there.
Of course.
Like, especially, but it's difficult though, because imagine if you give Braganza a chance and then he turns out not to be good, and then you're stuck with Braganza and Morita when you could have got Robertson. So it's a sort of a difficult choice, but I would like to see Braganza get a chance. But yeah, the last news I'm gonna this is sort of a top story as well in my eyes personally. Sporting paying 1.2 million to Porto for Diogo Abreu, I think that's how you say it. Abreu, yeah. Due to the new rules, I believe, inserted by the league, which basically you have to pay compensation for players under the age of 21, which is absolutely ridiculous, by the way, because I don't know how like Casapi or Estoril are going to try and sign players. Like Thomas Silva went from Sporting to Vizela last year. Imagine if they had to pay like 1.2 million compensation. Just never going to happen.
Yeah, and then they wonder why. Then they wonder why teams in this league fucking file for bankruptcy. It's because of shit like this. Instead of helping the little teams, you're fucking them over.
Yeah, Facts. I don't know if there's like an option to say like to decline it. Maybe like
Maybe.
I the reason I can see it is if like Porto were avidly trying to sign him to a new contract and then Sporting signed him, Porto could say we've offered him contracts, so we want him to stay. Whereas they say, for example, like a Thomas Silva or someone else, Sporting didn't offer him a contract, so it was like, yeah, we don't really want conversation because we don't want to keep him. If that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. But in my case, it's like, why does he have to sign with Porto? You know, like if he knows maybe the coach won't play him, or if he knows, you know, Porto's not maybe the best, or maybe he just doesn't want to sign with Porto. He thinks, you know, it's not, but he thinks Sporting is a smaller club and he has a better shot at playing at Sporting.
Yeah.
Why are we holding that against the kid? You know, why is it the club that has to benefit when the kid's taking control of his career?
Yeah, especially
Kyrie Irving. Sorry.
Especially giving it to Porto as well hurts a bit more, I suppose. But I will say that and acknowledge last year we did a deal for 15 million for Marco Cruz and Rodrigo Fernandez. Exactly. I'll say do a deal and 15 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like apparently this kid is going to be like one of the next big things. So 1.2 million, especially if we get like 100% of his pass and like we don't have to give Porto anything stupid like that. I think it will actually look to be a bargain in the future. Like I said, it's supposed to be one of the next big things. If he could turn out like Esteves has had so far, which now we've just talked about him being loaned out, but there's definitely potential. And he's definitely skillful, and I believe Abreu will be a part of pre-season as well, which is good. So yeah, I don't know if you have anything else to add on that.
No, I mean just a few things. Like the other thing that I have to say to this is it's funny how Varandas didn't slow down on calling Pinto Costa a bandido, but it doesn't stop him from still making negotiations like this one, like the Marco Cruz one that you said for I just checked on Transfer Market, 12 million euros. Or was that dollars? Let me see real quick again.
I think it was $12 million.
Yeah. It's funny. That's all. But the kid seems good, so I'm more than happy to raid the others' academies, seeing as they're always rating ours. You know, Porto and Benfica, especially Benfica. So let's start rating Benfica next, and I'll be a happy boy.
Do you remember? This is a bit off topic. Do you remember this story in? I want to say. It was probably about October, November. We got a DM from an anonymous source who we didn't really know. And they said that Fabio Vieira was 100% signing with Sporting.
Never forgot about that deal.
Bro, I was so gassed. I was like, yeah, what a signing. And then obviously he just got to Arsenal for, what was it, 35 million euros?
35. I was gassing it. I was telling my boy, like, yo, we have a credible source. Say my boy who's a Porto fan, shout out Patrick. And I was like, bro, he's gone. He's going to come to Sporting. He's another one. But ended up signing the deal. And I was also telling another Porto fan, I forgot who was bitching about, you know, Fabio Vieira only going for 35 is a joke. He's one of Portugal's next best talent. He's the next Bernardo Silva. I was telling him, you almost lost him for free, buddy. So shut the fuck up and be happy with 35 million. Or maybe even less. It was how much went to Jorge Mendes? Like 12 million of that?
Yeah, they said 50% over 30 million had to go to Jorge Mendes.
Disgusting.
Which is, man, he's profiting off Portuguese football like crazy.
I just wish there was a president in any of the big three clubs that was fighting against these sort of commissions.
If only there was one in the past that actually did fight against those commissions.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what could have been? But
he could have went to Big Brother afterwards, but at least fight for the commissions, you know, before your job is done.
Yeah,
my guy's living life with his new girl. Also, by the way, God,
did you see the video of him in DJing? Like the crowd was actually going like mental for
mad,
him.
Bro. He's just reinvented his career, bro. This is crazy.
Like genuinely, I don't really like the music, like EDM, like house music, but I listened to it and I was actually like, "This is sick." Like, if you would have told me like a top DJ like made this. Like, no disrespect, obviously, but like if you told me like a Steph London or someone like that, that's like the early like house artist I know, by the way. Like, tell me that like it was good, and like I genuinely listen to it at the gym sometimes. Like, it's just like good build up. If you haven't listened to it fully, we're not being paid for this, but do go listen to it. It is yeah, same. It's very good. But
Drake,
also on that,
hire my boy for your next dance album, bro.
Facts. Like, imagine, like, do you remember? Did you watch Sunderland Till I Die, the documentary?
I watched the first like season or two. I didn't.
When they were saying like they were trying to find like music for players to come out in the stadium.
Oh yeah,
they had that. That's what they should have
That'd
gone
be
for.
jokes.
But yeah, also just on that story, the reason why I think me, Danny, and Chris believed that rumor so substantially was because of, I think he announced Esteves before it happened, and I believe Ruben Vinagre like a month before.
Yeah,
and like he was legit in my eyes. But
I still think this is a credible source. I just think that like Sporting was definitely. I feel like Sporting was talking to him.
Yeah,
I do believe in that. I do believe that he was true in that. Jumped the gun and saying it was 100% coming true. But shout out to you. You know who you are if you're listening to this. Keep sliding. Keep telling us the DMs, bro. You stop. Keep giving us that insider information, bro. What's going on, man?
Yeah, I think as well, it must have been true because as soon as the rumor came out, he started playing. It must have been like such. I was like, oh shit, fine, I'll play him. And then he actually turned out to be, he's like the Bernardo Silva comparison. I see it, to be honest.
Yeah,
and now that he's gone to Arsenal, I can actually support. Like, say, like, yeah, I like the kid.
He reminds me a lot of Bernardo Silva, but also Bruno Cesar. You know, you can play him on the right, play him on the left, play him in midfield.
Don't play him at left back though.
No, he had some games at left back, bro.
What, Fabio Vieira?
Bruno Cesar, bro.
Yeah. I agree.
He had some good games at left back. Yeah, one or two that were horrible, but he had some good games at left back. I love Bruno Cesar. Shout out Bruno Cesar.
And on that note, it's time to it's time to say goodbye. Shout out Bruno Cesar as well. I mean, I thought it was okay. Especially on his debut though, I thought it was sick. And I was telling like people at school, I was like, he scored two like absolute screamers. It's gonna be the best, and he was average, I would say. But anyway, let's wrap up there. Before we wrap up, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Again, 300 subscribers away from 1,000. It would be great to hit that by the end of the year. Definitely more content like this, and obviously podcasts coming back when preseason probably hits, or maybe just a bit after then. But if you want to follow Danny on Twitter, feel free to follow him there. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me here. And also make sure to follow at Sporting160EN on Twitter. Make sure to follow us on Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts as well. That's something I didn't realize we were on until a few weeks ago. So yeah, make sure to follow us on there. And again, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this transfer roundup. Thank you, Danny, again for joining me. And hopefully we'll see you again next week. Peace.